Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Shubham Kabade. So, in today's video, we will be covering Power Automate basics with examples. So, for this video, we are considering create and update records in Dataverse using Power Automate. We will try to understand this using a real world example of user registration for an event. So, we will start with that. So requirement is whenever user submits an event registration, an attendee record should be created automatically and registration status should be updated as successful. So we will try to understand this using a flow diagram where user registers for an event and then attendee record will be created. Post that, registration record status will be updated as successful. We will try to achieve this using two steps. Step one is automatically create an attendee record after registration. Step two is update registration status as successful. So we will dive in into Dynamics and Power Automate now to see the working of this example. All right, let's get started. So I am into Dynamics 365 environment, where I have created a simple event management application which has three entities: event, registration, and attendees. Event holds the information of those events where user want to register for. Registration holds the information of user registrations, and then we have attendees which will be automatically created after user creates the registration record. Okay, as per our requirement, what we have is once the registration record is created, an attendee record will be created, and then registration status here, which is pending, will be updated as successful after the new registration. All right. Okay. So now we will move to Power Automate. So open the browser and then search for make.powerautomate.com. So we land on to the Power Automate portal. So here we have an environment. So before starting, make sure you choose the correct environment where you will be working on. So I have selected future dev here. Once the environment is selected, the next step is creating flows. So let me click on create. So once I click on create, I can see multiple options here. Start from blank, automated cloud flow, instant cloud flow, scheduled cloud flow. What I am looking for is an automation. So I'll be looking for an automated cloud flow. Let me select this. Once the automated cloud flow is selected, then I have to provide a flow name for this one. So I'll be providing create attendee after registration. Then since I am doing it in a Dataverse, I'll choose the trigger as Dataverse, where I'll select when a row is added, modified, or deleted, this trigger, and click on create. So what will happen? It will create in the Power Automate Designer. One step will be added. Okay. So this action I can rename as when registration is created. Okay. Then change type. So change type is basically what kind of event you're looking for. So right now I'm looking for creation. So I'll select add it here, and I'm looking for a trigger in registration table. So I'll select registration. So let me select registration scope. There are multiple options. Let me choose organization, and let's keep the option as blank for now. Okay. So now the next step is once the registration record is created, we want to create an attendee record. So I'll click on this one and I'll choose an action of add a new row. So if you can see in Microsoft Dataverse, we have an action here. Let me add that. Once it is added, now which entity we want to add or create a record for, right? So let me rename this action first. Create an attendee record. Okay. So since I'm creating an attendee, I'll be choosing an attendee table here. Okay. Now we have names. Name. So here, we can either update static values or we can dynamically update values from previous records as well. So here, let me click on show all. Show all will show all the fields available within this table for us to update. Okay. So let me add some dynamic parameters. So I'm using the same details from registration. So let me select name and then we have contact number. So I'll select contact number as a dynamic parameter. Okay. Alright. So for now, I think this is sufficient. Now let me save it. So we'll go step by step. Step one is to create an attendee, and step two is updation of registration record. Now let me publish it. All right. So now the flow is ready to run. I'll go to registration record to create a new registration. Let me type Shivam, new registration. 3, 4. Right, which event I want to register for. Let me select power platform here, registration sources, online. Okay, now the registration status is default set to pending. So let me save it. After saving, automatically attendee record should be created for this registration. So let me click on save and close. Go back to attendees, refresh. So if you see, Shubham new registration record is created. So it's basically an attendee record which is created. Okay. Now the next step is to update the registration. So if I go back to registration, right, you can see the registration status is still pending because we have not included that step yet in our flow. Okay. Now let's include the second step. Click on edit. Then now in this scenario, we are updating the registration record. So we'll be using update row action to do that. So we'll be using update row in the Dataverse, right? We'll rename it as update registration status. Then I'll be choosing the registration table. So now we have row ID here. So basically we will be updating the same record which was created. So I'll be dynamically adding that value here. So if you see when registration record is created, you can see more, right? I'll be able to find a unique identifier for registration. So you can see registration. Okay, right. Now show all will display all the fields from the registration table. Okay. Now what I want to update is I want to update the registration status to successful. Right. So if you see we have a registration status here. I'll be selecting successful option here. Right. and then save. Okay. So now what will happen once the registration record is created, an attendee record will be created and the registration status of this record will be updated as successful. So another thing what we have is, so on attendee record we have a field called as event, which is a lookup. Okay. So as of now we are not populating this event field from registration table. So let's do that as well. Okay, to do that, I'll be needing the event details from the registration. So I'll use an action called as get row by ID. So I'll rename to get event details. Right. So which table I'm looking for? Event, and row ID. I'll be considering it from the registration record. So let me select here event value. All right. So this step captures the event lookup information. So now I will be updating that information while creating the attendee. Right, so let me show all. So we have here events. So what I'll do is, so this is the step we added action get event details. So I'll be appending the lookup event data to this event lookup. So let me select this OData ID and then save it. Okay, now it is saved. Now let me publish it. So it's publishing and done. Okay, so now the flow is published where we have added a step to create an attendee after event is created and then update the registration status. Also, we have action added where we are updating the event lookup from registration to attendee. All right. So let's see the working from end to end. Let me add a name called as easy contact number 1234. Let me select an Azure event registration, so it is online. Right, since status is pending, let me save and close. Okay, so registration record is created, and now if I go to attendee, okay, I can see Daisy created, and if you see, the event also is updated here. Okay, if I go back to registrations of Daisy, I can see the registration status is updated as successful. I can also monitor this in Power Automate. So where we have this run history where I can view a specific run, how much time it took to process each step. Okay. All right. So yeah, in today's video we covered create, update, and association of records in Power Automate using Dataverse. All right. Thank you, and see you in the next video.